Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are looking at a major development in Eastern Europe that has caught the attention of governments, analysts, and millions of people around the world. Military signals coming from Russia and Belarus are once again raising questions about what could happen next in the region. With the situation around Ukraine still tense, every movement of troops, equipment, and political statements is being closely watched. In this video, we will break down what these signals mean, why they matter, and how they could affect the future of the conflict. The relationship between Russia and Belarus has always been very close, especially in military and strategic matters. Over the past few years, this partnership has become even stronger. Joint exercises, shared military infrastructure, and coordinated political messaging have all increased. Because Belarus shares a border with Ukraine, any military activity there quickly becomes an important signal for the region. Recently, reports of increased military exercises, equipment movements, and strategic coordination between Russia and Belarus have started appearing again. While exercises between the two countries are not new, the timing and scale of these activities are what make analysts pay attention. When large numbers of troops train near a border during an ongoing conflict, it naturally raises concerns about possible intentions. One important thing to understand is that military exercises often serve multiple purposes. They can be routine training for soldiers. They can also be political signals meant to show strength or unity. Sometimes they are designed to test logistics and readiness. In the current situation, these exercises may be sending a message not only to Ukraine, but also to other countries observing the region. For Ukraine, any signal from Russia or Belarus must be taken seriously. The country has been dealing with ongoing military pressure for years, and its security forces constantly monitor border activity. Even if an exercise is officially described as routine, Ukraine still has to prepare for every possibility. At the same time, military analysts often look beyond official statements. They examine satellite images, troop numbers, transportation routes, and supply movements. These details help experts understand whether an exercise is purely symbolic or part of a larger strategic plan. Belarus plays a unique role in this situation. Geographically, it sits directly between Russia and several European countries. Its territory has strategic importance because it provides access routes and logistical support for military operations. Because of this location, any large-scale military activity in Belarus attracts international attention. Over the past few years, Belarus has allowed deeper military cooperation with Russia. Joint air defense systems, shared training facilities, and coordinated command structures have all been discussed or implemented. This has gradually strengthened the military connection between the two countries. For Ukraine, the northern border with Belarus remains an area that must be carefully monitored. Even if there is no immediate sign of an attack, the presence of military infrastructure and joint exercises means the possibility always exists in the strategic calculations of defense planners. Another factor that increases tension is uncertainty. Military signals are often intentionally ambiguous. Governments sometimes want to keep opponents guessing about their true intentions. By moving troops or conducting exercises without giving full explanations, they create strategic pressure. This kind of pressure can influence political decisions as well. When military activity increases, diplomatic conversations often become more urgent. Leaders may try to negotiate, strengthen alliances, or adjust their defense strategies. In the broader European context, many countries are watching the situation closely. The conflict involving Ukraine has already affected security policies across the continent. Defense spending has increased in several countries, and alliances have become more active in coordinating responses. Military signals from Russia and Belarus, therefore, have implications beyond the immediate region. Even small changes in troop deployment can lead to discussions in international organizations, security forums, and diplomatic meetings. At the same time, it is important to remember that not every military movement leads to escalation. Sometimes these activities are part of long-term planning or internal training schedules. Analysts must balance caution with careful interpretation. One reason the world pays such close attention to these signals is the unpredictable nature of geopolitical conflicts. History has shown that major events can sometimes begin with small steps that initially seem routine. For example, a training exercise might evolve into a long-term military presence. A temporary deployment could become permanent infrastructure. These gradual changes can reshape the strategic balance in a region over time. Ukraine's defense strategy has therefore focused heavily on monitoring and preparation. Border surveillance, intelligence sharing, and coordination with international partners all play a role in understanding what is happening across the border. Technology has also changed how these situations are analyzed. Satellite imagery, open-source intelligence, and real-time reporting allow experts and journalists to track movements that once would have been hidden. Because of this transparency, military signals today are visible to a global audience. Analysts from many countries can study the same images and data, creating a shared understanding of events. For Russia and Belarus, this visibility can be both an advantage and a challenge. On one hand, public exercises can demonstrate strength and unity. On the other hand, any unusual movement can quickly become international news. Political messaging also plays an important role in these situations. Statements from government officials often accompany military exercises. These messages may emphasize defense, cooperation, or deterrence. The concept of deterrence is central to many military strategies. By showing that a country is prepared and capable, leaders hope to discourage opponents from taking aggressive actions. However, deterrence can sometimes create tension if other countries interpret the signals differently. What one side sees as defensive preparation might be viewed by another side as a potential threat. This is why communication between countries is often critical during periods of heightened military activity. Diplomatic channels allow governments to clarify intentions and reduce misunderstandings. Despite these channels, uncertainty can still remain. Military planning often includes multiple scenarios, and governments rarely reveal their full strategies to the public. For Ukraine, the key priority remains national security and territorial defense. The country continues to strengthen its military capabilities while also seeking diplomatic support from partners. International support has played a major role in Ukraine's ability to respond to ongoing challenges. Training programs, financial assistance, and political backing have all contributed to the country's defense efforts. Meanwhile, the partnership between Russia and Belarus continues to evolve. Joint exercises, military agreements, and strategic coordination suggest that the relationship will remain important in regional security discussions. Experts often analyze these developments through several questions. Are the exercises increasing in size? Are new types of equipment being deployed? Are logistical preparations expanding beyond temporary training? Answers to these questions help determine whether current activities represent routine cooperation or something more significant. Another key factor is timing. When exercises occur during periods of political tension, they tend to attract greater attention. Observers look for connections between diplomatic developments and military movements. Seasonal factors can also influence military planning. Weather conditions, terrain, and logistical challenges all affect when and where exercises take place. In the case of Belarus, its geography includes forests, rivers, and flat terrain that can support large-scale maneuvers. These landscapes are often used for joint training operations between Belarusian and Russian forces. Such exercises allow troops to practice coordination, communication, and rapid deployment. These skills are essential in modern military operations. At the same time, these activities can also serve as demonstrations of alliance strength. By training together, countries show that they are capable of acting as a unified force if necessary. For neighboring countries, these demonstrations can be a source of concern. Governments must evaluate whether the exercises remain within predictable patterns or signal new strategic directions. Another aspect often discussed is logistics. Moving large numbers of troops requires transportation, supply chains, fuel, and infrastructure. Analysts watch these logistical elements closely because they reveal the scale of operations. If an exercise involves only limited logistical support, it is more likely to be temporary. But if supply networks expand significantly, observers may interpret this as preparation for longer-term deployment. Information from transportation routes, such as railways and highways, can therefore provide important clues. Military equipment moving across borders often appears in satellite imagery or public reports. Media coverage also shapes public perception of these events. News outlets around the world report on military signals, sometimes highlighting the most dramatic possibilities. This attention can increase anxiety among citizens, especially in regions close to the conflict. People naturally want to understand what these developments mean for their safety and future. Governments therefore face the challenge of providing information without creating unnecessary panic. Official statements often emphasize monitoring and readiness while avoiding speculation. Another important factor is the role of international diplomacy. Even during periods of tension, negotiations and discussions continue behind the scenes. Diplomatic efforts aim to prevent escalation and maintain stability. Meetings between officials, security talks, and international conferences all contribute to this process. Although progress in diplomacy can be slow, these conversations remain essential. They provide opportunities to address concerns, clarify misunderstandings, and explore possible solutions. For now, the military signals from Russia and Belarus appear to be part of a complex strategic environment rather than a single clear action. Analysts continue to study the situation carefully. The future of the region will depend on many factors. Military readiness, political decisions, economic pressures, and international diplomacy all interact in shaping events. For viewers trying to understand the situation, it is important to focus on reliable information and avoid rumors. In a world of rapid online updates, not every headline tells the full story. Careful analysis and balanced reporting help people see the bigger picture. While tensions exist, many diplomatic and political processes are also working to manage the situation. The coming months may bring new developments, new exercises, or new negotiations. Each of these events will add another piece to the larger puzzle of regional security. As observers continue to watch the movements of troops and the statements of leaders, one thing remains clear. The situation around Ukraine, Russia, and Belarus is one of the most closely monitored geopolitical issues in the world today. Understanding these military signals helps us see how countries communicate power, caution, and strategy without always speaking directly. For now, the key message is vigilance and awareness. Governments, analysts, and citizens are all watching carefully to see how these signals evolve. And that brings us to the end of today's discussion. If you found this explanation helpful and want to stay updated on major global developments, make sure to follow the channel and keep learning about the stories shaping our world.